What is up, survivors? For today's mod, we're going to be going over the Saddles Emporium mod. This is a pretty cool one that adds obviously a lot of different saddles. We're going to talk about all of them right now. So we got a lot of animals to look at and ogle over and think about how cool their saddles look, but let's start off with this bench right. You're going to need this Saddle Emporium Workbench. It's going to require hide, stone, and wood. You're going to unlock it at level 1, or if you choose to change it in ionize, it's going to be different in there, obviously, but that's pretty much it. We have a couple of these like makeshift saddles, but we'll talk about how they work essentially. But you're basically going to craft all of your saddles on here for the bunch of different animals. Now it's organized pretty nice because it tells you all of the animals that they currently have saddles for. The Equus, the Megalosaurus, the Parasaur, the Parasaur, the Pteranodon, the Raptor, the Spino, and the Trike. Those are all the animals now. Kind of a bummer this mod hasn't been updated in a while. I'm really hoping that maybe the creator comes back and adds some more for some other creatures in here, but right now this is what we're looking at. And it is a pretty cool mod, definitely from more of an RP PvE sort of standpoint, but it does give some distinct advantages, and we'll go over that. So let's go over the biggest one first, and that's clearly the Equus. The Equus gets an amazing amount of saddles in here, incredible. So every saddle does something significantly different as far as what it takes to craft, its stats, its armor, and its weight value. So these couple that we have here are these like jousting saddles, and they're all pretty much the same stats, but they just look different. And we have some checkered, we have some diamond patterns, and then a solid color as well. These are normal saddles that go on there. They still act like a saddle, like an Equus saddle. So you still get all the cool Equus bonuses. But as you can see, the weight is 80 and the armor is 60 on these guys. And this is specifically for all of these jousting outfits. They'll all be that same stat. They'll have 80 weight, 60 armor. And if we go down here, we start to look at something like what this guy is wearing, which is the knight armor. What this does is give you even more armor, but it weighs even more. It's obviously going to cost more resources to craft something like this too, which is kind of like I like the addition of all the other different saddles of different levels versus the quality. It's kind of a cool idea. And within that, within this realm, you have a couple different ones. You have like this like knight-esque sort of saddle with the horn on top. Then you got this kind of like this evil, I don't know, kind of Viking one-esque. This is called the Warlord. Same deal. High weight, high armor. Going down, I think this is another knight. What is this one? This is just plate. Okay, so it's just a plate armor. Same deal. High weight, high armor. These three pretty much fall in that same category. They're like a heavy armored saddle for the Equus. Going over here, we have more of like a lighter armor. This is the leather armor. Okay, so 80 weight, 60 armor. Basically the same stats as the jousting outfits that we looked at. We have an even smaller version of it, which is a lighter armor, which is only 40 weight and only 45 armor. So as you can see, the stats change significantly depending on what the saddle is. And then obviously here we just have a regular basic saddle, 20 weight, 25 armor. Not done yet though. We have a couple over here as well. Some of these are just cosmetic and they kind of do the same thing. So for here we just have the halter, which is pretty much just what goes around the head, essentially, is what we're looking at here. And the idea behind these is that they're incredibly cheap to craft so that you can ride the animal. Now with the Equus, you don't necessarily need that because you already ride them. But if you want some sort of saddle to get these buffs, you can make it fairly cheap and pretty early on. As you can see, it weighs little to nothing and gives you no armor, but it's almost nothing to craft. So that's the idea, is like a very primitive on the go. I want something on this guy so that I can start using him for his benefits sort of saddle. Right here we have like another halter, and they pretty much, if you notice, one's just rope while the other one's leather, but they pretty much serve the same purpose. Going over here we have the whole bridle, so it has the rein on it as well. I'm not really all that versed in saddle reined bridle things, but I think I'm making sense. I don't know, maybe somebody can correct me here. But as we can see, it goes up a little bit. The weight's a little bit higher on that one, but still no armor benefits here. Over here we have just a makeshift saddle, which gives us, again, no armor. The whole point behind a lot of these saddles, these couple that I'm showing you, is that the resources to make them is significantly less. Going down to these two are significantly different though. So we have the basic saddle here, which still opens up all the benefits, but as we can see, we're starting to get more detailed. We're starting to get the packs, we're starting to get all that stuff in here. But then we also have this really cool one too, which I like. And this is the Explorer saddle. So the Explorer saddle, it works like a normal horse saddle, but then it also makes items weigh 20% less when the saddle is equipped, making this guy great for running around and storing stuff for you. So you actually do get some buffs out of some of these saddles, so it's very important to pay attention to those. Obviously the Equus is like the biggest one, but a lot of these is pretty amazing. And to go back at the bench while we're looking at all of these saddles, you can also make skins. Let's say if you just cosmetically you really like the way that armor looks, you can make a skin for it and throw it on whatever saddle you have, so that you still get the cool look while you still get maybe an added benefit that you like, or even just a basic saddle and you just want it to look cool, maybe themed for a certain reason or whatever. You have that option. You also have that option with any of the saddles that we're going to go over. Going over to the Megaloceros, the moose steers. You have this one, which is just the normal halter, which is pretty much just the top part, like we talked about earlier. Super easy to craft, but the stats stink on it. They have the simple saddle, which gives you a little bit of armor, a little bit of weight, standard saddle. Over here is another basic saddle, just looks a little bit different. Got some saddlebags back here. It's a little bit more beefy, but pretty much does the same thing. I think the weight's a little bit higher on this guy, but the armor is still the same. Yeah, 15 weight, 25 armor. I think this is 12? 12, yeah, okay. So the weight's a little bit higher, but it looks a little bit cooler. Going over here, we have another Explorer saddle. So if you notice, if it says Explorer, this is what it always does. It makes the items weigh 20% lighter when the saddle is equipped. And then over here, we have a farming saddle. Now the farming saddle bumps it even higher. It makes it so it's 30%. Which makes it really good for any item, any creatures that are harvesting stuff for you. So, and as you can see, the cosmetics are different too. So like for the Explorer, we got some saddlebags and some stuff to make like a tent, it looks like. While over here we have some baskets that are clearly for carrying thatch, because we all know the Megaloceros is pretty awesome at harvesting that stuff. But cosmetically it works, and then it also makes sense with what the saddle is meant to do as well. You know, we obviously see like the armor change in the heavy and then more light armor for the Equus. But then also over here, even when it's themed a certain way, it clearly serves a purpose, and it's even catered to that animal. You know, it's not like we're seeing Megaloceros with a bag of pearls strapped to the side of it. It's not what they do. They harvest thatch, and that's why we got a bunch of it in the basket. So I think the little details like that go a long way with me. What else we got? We got Raptors. This is where we start getting some of this stuff starts looking pretty cool. So here we actually have a scout saddle, and if you notice, this actually provides like a little neck protection versus the standard saddle, and then it has a few little additions to the saddles on here. What this does is gives you a little bit more armor and a little bit more weight than like your standard saddle does. But also looks great. Looks like, you know, we got all the little doohickers strapped to it. I think it's great. There's a lot of detail went into this stuff. Shows, definitely shows. We have the poacher saddle. Poacher saddle is a little bit different. You get the weight reduction, obviously, but then you get more armor out of it as well. So we're looking at 24.5 for armor for weight, 35 for armor out of the poacher. So it's kind of like a farming / medium armor saddle matched in a one is basically what you're looking at here. Over here on the pack leader, we have the hunter saddle, which essentially does the same thing. The only difference really is that aesthetically you get a little bit different. So from here we have, let me get on here so you can see, you have like, you know, like pelts and things like that, because you'd be out like hunting with that. Where this is more of like a carrying the trophy of the actual animal around. Looks like it's a female Megaloceros. Maybe that's why all the deer over there are making all these noises. They don't appreciate it. Guys, probably would have thought about that. If I'd have known that, maybe I'd have put you over there somewhere where it wouldn't have been so confrontational, I guess. Anyhow, over to this guy, we have just a basic saddle, which looks just pretty much like a normal Raptor. You got the little saddlebags and everything. Going over here, we have the Explorer saddle, which again adds 20% or retracts 20% to the weight. We have this cool leather saddle, which is basically for pack mates, because you can't actually ride it. So this is really just for the pack mates of the Raptors, and it gives them weight and still gives them armor, but you can't actually ride it. If you notice, there's no actual place for me to sit at on here either. But it's pretty neat. I like it. You can't ride it, but it does give... It's just a cool little concept. I like it. And I like some of them have like this neck protection going on. Some of them don't. They all got a lot of neat stuff. This should just be a regular, little halter saddle basically. Just enough to be able to ride it, but it doesn't really give you very many benefits. This is definitely useful for mounts that, you know, not like the Equus where you're like, crap, I need a saddle to get this thing moving. You can make something cheap like this to move them around the base, relocate them, or maybe you're just using them for breeding and you don't need a heavy-duty saddle, just something to move them around from time to time. That's definitely perfect for that. Aesthetically, they all look great. Going over to the Pteranodon. So the Pteranodons, there's not too much going on over here. There's just the three saddles. You have this regular halter saddle, which again, I'm not beating a dead horse here. No offense, guys. None of you are dead. That's not a hidden thing. I'm not killing any of you. But yeah, it's just a normal halter saddle. Doesn't provide you very much any armor, and you know, adds a little bit of weight. But it's basically just an easy way to get something to fly this around, which is super useful with flyers, though. Being able to fly this thing around fairly early on. I think the halters are going to be used for early. I need to ride you in case of emergency. Plus, if you're breeding them and you just want to keep them in the same area, but you don't want to go crazy making saddles for all of them, but you still need to move them around, I can fit in that area pretty well. This is like your normal basic saddle, so a little bit of armor, a little bit of weight. It's pretty much what it is. And then you have your, I believe this one is an explorer saddle for over here. Yep, so you get 20% lighter. This is really good with the Pteranodon, because the Pteranodons, you know, we all know these guys aren't really known for your weight carrying capabilities, but I do like the little textures and the little tent roll up in the back and everything. It's pretty cool concept. I dig it. Moving on to the trike. We got 3 trikes with this bush in my way, which is driving me a little crazy. We have 3 trikes. We have a normal, like just the halter for the trike, which as you can see is right here. Again, no armor, a little bit of weight. I can ride it really early. But then we have these 2 over here. We have this saddle here, which is the caravan saddle, which actually makes your items weigh 50% less, which is amazing for resource harvesting dinos. And as we can see, it gives you a little bit more weight and a decent amount of armor as well. Over here, we have the fancy saddle, which does like a 20% lighter thing. Really, this is just to make it look cool. When it says fancy, it's literally that. Like, yeah, it's going to give you a little bit of benefits like the Explorer saddle does, but it pretty much cosmetics is what it comes down to. I like the gold trim to these. Looks a little blinged out. And if we get on top here, we can clearly see that there's a lot more going on. We have huge saddlebags and tent rolls. And over here, the harvesting one is really good. We have a giant chest back here. We have all these little pots and pans going on and bags. Crates of all sorts of stuff. Let me get up on here again. So crates of stuff in here as well. This is really done up really cool. I love seeing this. I get kind of bored with seeing the same saddles over and over again. So this is really cool. I don't know why I'm so excited about a saddles mod, but I'm really excited about this one. I think it's really neat. Definitely characterful. Being able to mix the trikes up. And then it actually plays into using a trike, right? So the idea behind a trike 9 times out of 10 is use it for a pack animal and a harvesting animal. This makes it exceptionally better at that with an already decent weight stat already. Moving on, what we got next? Oh, we got parasaurs. All right, so we got 6 different parasaurs, I think. Yeah, so standard halter one, just so I can ride it around. What do we got over here? We got the Explorer saddle, which is that 20% weight reduction. Like I said, notice the trend, you pay attention to names. The name of the saddle pretty much does the same thing regardless of who it is. The fancy saddle just looks cooler. You guys keep nudging me all over the place, which I find really rude. Could you just stop doing that? I'd appreciate it. Anyway, as we can see, it's like blinged out, so it's like got the little gold trim to it and stuff like that. Makes it stand out. I like it. The Explorer saddle has like what looks like to make a fire, a little campfire and stuff on the back of it too. What do we got here? Okay, it's just a basic saddle. No big deal here. Nothing to write home about. This is your caravan saddle for the parasaur, which again, 50% weight reduction, a little bit of weight, a little bit of armor, and then themed pretty well too. Has little baskets and the bags and old burlap like it's carrying stuff around. And then last but not least, I believe this one is the farming one. Yes, it definitely is, with a 30% weight reduction. This one's awesome too. You know, again, actually only holding things that normally this creature would be able to harvest. Actually, it's a lie. I don't know where it's getting corn from. I don't think it can harvest corn or potatoes for that matter. But these two definitely make sense. But yeah, themed saddles look awesome, look great. Kind of saving the best for last down here. We got a whole lot of parasaurs. We've got 3, 6, 8 parasaur saddles down here. A couple of these are pretty much the same. A couple of them are platforms, but we're going to go over each one of them real quick. Oh man, first up we have an Explorer platform saddle, so you can build structures on it like a normal platform, but then everything weighs 20% less when it's on there, making you being able to build more stuff on here and not having to level the weight up quite as much probably. But this looks awesome. You get the nice platform saddle like we're used to seeing, but the saddle in and of itself just looks 10 times better. I think so anyway. Next up, we have the fancy saddle for this guys, which again, 20% weight reduction, but then looks cool. Got this little cover over the top, which I think is neat. Obviously not a platform saddle. This is super cool. I like that one. Over here, we have the caravan saddle, much like the trike and the parasaur, 50% weight reduction, a little bit of armor and a little bit of weight added onto it, but it looks great. Looks like it's carrying It looks like a caravan. It looks like, you know, you'd see this and a few of these guys rolling around like a nomadic sort of play style. I think that'd be great, combining the perisher like this with maybe some of the trikes and stuff, and then some other ones, some other perisher saddles that we're going to look at. Over here, we have a platform saddle that is a caravan saddle. So if you notice, we're getting different variants in here, and that's pretty much what you're going to find in here. Is you're going to have like a fancier version. Like you're going to have two different versions when it comes to the perishers. You're going to have whatever type of saddle it is, and then you're going to have a platform version of that saddle as well. So cool thing, we have all like the nets with the goods hanging off the side of them, and then obviously a platform that you can build on. Next up on the list is our basic saddle, which is pretty much just a basic perisher saddle. Added some bags. I like the little ladder attachment to the side of that. That's really neat. I like that. Oftentimes I've wondered how you would get on these animals, and I think that's hilarious. We have a normal bridle, which is just that. It's just I like how all three of you are just kind of, you all look so dopey. Your legs twitching. Are you okay? Are you nervous? It's just a YouTube video. It's not a big deal. Anyway. Speaking of you, come here. We have an explorer saddle for you, which again, kind of mobile, nomadic sort of look. All the tent poles and looks like campfires and tents and backpacks with hatchets and stuff on it. Pretty neat. I like that little rolling. I like that little fold out ladder, the rolling ladder out there. I think it's great. We have two more platform saddles. This platform saddle is the caravan platform saddle. So we obviously 50% weight reduction, and then obviously can build on top of it like normal. Going over here, we have the wooden explorer platform saddle, which gives you a little bit of armor, not a whole lot. The wooden ones definitely don't give you as much armor as some of the metal ones do. But again, 20% weight reduction, and you get a platform out of it. I think it's kind of cool to have the options between wood and metal though, because if you want to go for more of a primitive build, primitive look, it's easier to do that obviously with a wooden platform saddle than it would be for something else. And then the cool thing is because it's the saddle, not a structure, it doesn't really matter what can hurt it and what can't. No matter what you build on top of it would, but the saddle in and of itself wouldn't matter too much. Lastly, we have Spinos. We have 4 of them here. We got basic saddle here. Well, not the basic saddle, but the halter basically, just so you can ride it. Which is kind of cool. This one's a little bit different. It's got like the chain going around the bottom of it, which is pretty neat. Going over to this guy, we have the Bayou saddle, which again, 30% weight reduction. Now, it's really the only difference between this one and the next one we're going to look at is cosmetic, really. But the cosmetic looks great with the giant, with the capro and the frogs and the piranhas and stuff linked to the side of this. And on the other side, we've got all these barrels, and oh man, it just looks so great. A lot of time and effort. I think it's a Titan bow in there. Yeah, it's a Titan bow in there. It's a basket of leeches. That's a little gross. Okay, I was a fan of this until we got to that. That's gross. Anyway, so that's the Bayou version of it, and then we also have the trawler version, which is still that 30% weight reduction. Gives you weight, gives you armor, but then it just looks a whole lot different. Let me get back up here actually. So we actually have a giant shark on the side of this, which is pretty neat. Same, we have the sea lobster on here as a little addition, the giant fish hook on here. Going around to this side, it's just it looks a little bit differently. We got like eels wrapped to this, and salmon and clams, and no leeches, so I automatically like this one a little bit better. And then last but not least, we have the Explorer saddle here, which is that 20% weight reduction. Just as kind of a travel, you know, it looks all the bags and barrels and stuff like that. And some of this stuff is obviously repeated, but it looks really good and it fits really well. But that's pretty much all the saddles that we have here, and obviously that's a lot. Cons, I just, unfortunately, it looks like this mod hasn't been updated for a while, so I don't know if we're going to see any more of these. I really hope that we do. Maybe we can all band together and sign a petition for the mod creator to get delve back into this and start making it for a couple more. This looks great. I mean, I'd love to see this for a lot of the different animals out there. I mean, the artwork is great on these saddles. They fit the animals like really well. There's no weird connections or weird ropes that don't make any sense. Everything fits really well. Things aren't glitching through them. Like, it's just they fit the creatures like perfectly the way the normal saddles were. This is one of those mods that clearly there was a lot of time that went into this, and they have their own little styles, and it definitely shows. I highly recommend this one, especially anybody PvP, definitely like an RP sort of role. Highly recommend it. But that's it, guys. That's the Saddles Emporium mod. We will throw a link to the description in the video so you can check that out at your leisure. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.